Live from the 607, it is the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Why don't you join in the conversation with the hashtag ODPH? Here we go. And welcome to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M. Sitting next to me this week is the intern himself, Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And across the table, holding down the soundboard as he always does, it is the sound guy galore, JR.
Oh, you know I'm right here.
Folks, we have a lot to talk about, so waste no more time. Hashtag ODPH. Let's get into the biggest sports stories of the week, and nothing bigger than the NBA Finals. It has came, it has saw, it has left. The Golden State Warriors ran through Cleveland.
To say the least, like a wet piece of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I dare I say, I don't want one-sided, but, you know, once the sails were knocked out of the Cavs by J.R. Smith and the Game 1 meltdown, there was no rebounding, no coming back.
There was a few moments where it looked like Cleveland might pull one out or get a win or something, but then somebody on the Golden State end of things would just hit a three or hit a shot or something and just dagger.
No, I mean, they did play well in Game 1, but then they just ran out of gas, and then 2, they just looked like they still were in shell shock of what had happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they went to Game 3 in Cleveland, I thought Cleveland was coming out hot. They were ready on their home court. They were ready to make a statement. JR was looking a little better, but overall, Golden State did not let them off the hook. They decided to really come down on them. I know Kevin Durant had a phenomenal finals.
Yeah, he did.
And he really stepped up to close it out because, I mean, Steph Curry did not have the greatest finals on record.
By and large, no.
No, especially for him. But he did show up when he needed to in the third quarter again, which should be a note for any other team in the league that if you shut down Curry for the first half, he will come back with a vengeance in the third, so you better have an adjustment ready for him.
And I think it was put best by the WWE wrestler Mike The Miz, who is from Cleveland fan. He was on First Take, I believe it was between Game 3 and 4.
Yep.
Where he put it best. If you want to beat Golden State, you need to be up by like 20 going out of the third.
You need to, but at the same token, you need to make sure that you are adjusting to their offense. And what I mean by this is, take a look at the Houston series. Houston was up by a massive amount in both games, games 6 and 7. Golden State found a way to come back, and they did it by driving to the hoop. They switched up their offense enough that Houston just didn't have a good counterpunch.
And they shut down the triple-double machine that is James Harden.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when you're doing that, I mean, especially in Game 6, more importantly, I don't think they were really up that far in Game 7 on them at all. But in Game 6, where you have your deciding factor, and even Game 5, that's where Golden State really took over. And in the third quarter, they did adjustments. It's like the Patriots. We've discussed this many times.
Yep.
That they decided to come in there, and that's when Curry goes off. And then when they play lockdown defense, and they really kind of hone in on, okay, this guy has been really scoring in the first half. This is who we really need to focus on and then see if somebody else can beat us. They did the same thing with the Cavs. I mean, they slowed down LeBron. I know Draymond Green had a great game defending him, too, or a great series, rather. But overall, when they took LeBron out of the equation, nobody else on the Cavs really made a definitive statement to step up.
No, they had flashes, and they looked okay at times, but by and large, nobody took the mantle and goes, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, and LeBron looked tired in that series.
Yes.
But he gave it all to beat Boston. So thus, you knew he was going to be riding on some fumes, so to speak. I mean, there's a lot of tread in his basketball tires.
We've been through that before, yeah.
We have been through that before, but it kind of showed as the series went on. And then obviously when they got down 3-0 in the series, Game 4, they just looked like they had no energy left. That they kind of almost knew it was coming. I hate saying it.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, what was it, Game 1? Or 2, where it was like late in the game and there was that camera shot of LeBron on the bench just sucking wind.
Oh, it was Game 2, I believe.
Like it looked like a UFC heavyweight fighter in like, you know, the later rounds that they're just gassed.
Well, he was playing at such a high level that his teammates needed to step up, and they didn't.
No.
I mean, unfortunately. I mean, it's just stats are stats. And he was doing everything in his power to bring that team back. But when Golden State is clicking, they are damn near impossible to defeat. JR, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, this whole series was, in one word, predictable.
Yeah.
There's definitely no doubting that. Cleveland had no right being there as far as we're all concerned. right?
Yeah.
No.
You think a healthy Boston team, they don't make it.
No, you wouldn't. I think so.
I'm going to just flat out say it. There's no way they would. I wouldn't say so, especially because you look at the pieces around LeBron. No way. No way. Kevin Love's a ghost. I don't even know what happened to him. Wasn't he a 35-15 guy?
Something like that, yeah.
Used to be.
He was.
He used to be a double machine. I remember back in his Minnesota days that like you'd turn on SportsCenter or whatever sporting show you prefer to watch in the morning. It's like, oh hey, look, Kevin Love got another triple-double. Or not triple-double, excuse me, double-double.
Right, but it was always 35-15.
Yeah.
You could count on him to be your 3 guy. He was an animal down
Which
low.
was part of the reason it was so enticing to bring him in, is this guy's a double-double machine.
But the one thing we got to remember, too, though, is he was the only offense in Minnesota those years. And thus, when he got to Cleveland, he decided to take a step back and be a facilitator instead of somebody that sets the offensive tempo. Now, should it have been dropped off to the degree it was? No. But it did, and you can kind of understand because at the time, though, they did have Kyrie Irving in Cleveland as well, so obviously the offensive roles are kind of in flux. But this season, he needed to really step up and do it, and unfortunately, he just was very inconsistent, like much of the team. And especially after they gut the team at the trade deadline, and this is the team that they went forward with. Now, were they a little more athletic? Sure, but when it came time to really step up and match point for point, punch for punch with Golden State, it just wasn't there.
No, but it's kind of like you said, getting back to the Kevin Love situation, Kyrie's gone. Kevin Love should have looked at this and gone, okay, Kyrie was clearly LeBron's number 2 when he was here. He was the guy that like facilitated everything, did everything, point guard, what have you. Kevin Love should have stepped up and gone, hey, you know what? Kyrie's not here anymore. Kyrie's not walking through those doors to bail us out. I got to step this up.
But was it more just kind of hesitation to see where the new role was? Because, I mean, it's always been, a guard first to LeBron and then kind of go from there. I mean, obviously, him being a forward, it's not going to go that route. So it's kind of, I don't know, they should have made some more adjustments or somebody else should have stepped up and at least facilitated. I mean, J.R. Smith, you weren't getting consistency from, but you kind of knew that going into it.
Right.
He's never been really known for being a consistent, three-point shooter. He just goes in very streaks. Like sometimes he'll be on for 3 or 4 games and then he disappears for some.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting. A couple different things. I find it that you bring in Kyle Korver because he's the spot up 3-point shooter. He's not a Klay Thompson. He's not a Klay Thompson in the sense that he likes to get the ball in rhythm. Kyle Korver can shoot it from anywhere. I mean, as soon as the ball touches his hand, he's a lights out shooter allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been since he's gotten to Cleveland. He seemed a little off.
Sure.
He has.
Yeah.
Kevin Love's been ghost. We all know what JR is going to give you.
Yeah.
He's either going to give you 40 on 10 of 11 from 3, or he's going to give you 0 for 11 from 3, and then he's not going to be able to hit anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That Cavaliers team, like I said, they completely overachieved.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned, they definitely should not have even been in the finals. As far as I was concerned, if you have a healthy Boston team, I think I'm sorry, I don't think they make it.
No.
And I think they just get trucked. And I'm also this guy. I'm a heavy Jordan guy, and I present this to you guys. Is LeBron the guy who has to have somebody with him? Because he couldn't do it without Kyrie. He couldn't do it unless he had Dwayne Wade in Miami and Chris Bosh. And it shows you now he had nobody in Cleveland here, and he couldn't get it done. But with Kyrie, he could. So is this like a Kobe had Shaq, needed Gasol, and LeBron can't do it on his own kind of thing? Because it sure looks like it.
Yeah, because you look at the times when LeBron made it to the finals, and it was LeBron and who else?
Right.
He lost.
So the 2008 versus the Magic got smoked.
Yeah, you look at him against the Spurs. But then you look at the years when he was in Miami. Yeah, he had Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. He had Kyrie Irving. I'd have to say so.
Right. So that's the way I look. I mean, only because I'm a really heavy Jordan guy, and I've heard this all week long. We're going to continue to hear about it for the rest of his career. Is he better than Jordan? Well, you know what?
Certain aspects, yeah.
But you know what? They said Jordan needed Pippen. Well, LeBron certainly can't do it on his own either, so I hate to say it, but he definitely needed Kyrie to get there, which he did in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But he had Kyrie to do it, and now it shows, unfortunately, with the team around him, he can't get it done. With asterisk, the team he had, which, to be fair, was not that great.
Well, of course, and then you get out of Game 7 and come to find out LeBron, I guess, punched the chalkboard, whiteboard, and supposedly broke his hand.
That's immaturity in your 15th season.
Let's break something down quick, though. If you want to compare the Jordan era to the LeBron era, it's almost apples to oranges. You can't, because it's a different league than it was then.
It's a smash you in the teeth and knock you 8 rows deep.
That's the difference. Is the 90s era where Jordan and the Bulls were running through everybody is a more physical league, and it was more, I'm going to say more parity, because you didn't have the super teams that you do now in the LeBron era. So that being said, you kind of have to look at it through that perspective of, okay, this is the super team era, because this is when you had superstars forming together on teams. This is when the Miami Big Three set the blueprint for the Golden State Four.
Well, and Boston before that.
And Boston before that, too, with Pierce, Garnett.
And Ray Allen.
Yeah. So when you have this new era and the new style in there, you have to look at it in the comparison of that. Now, for me, I still think, Jordan never lost the finals.
No.
Jordan was 6-0, I believe.
Yep.
LeBron has been there 9 consecutive years, if I'm not mistaken.
Eight or 9 years.
8 or 9, maybe not consecutive, but he's been there.
8 consecutive years, but I believe he's been there 9 times.
9. He's 3 and 6.
Okay, but he's 3 and 6 under the new era. So you have to look at it in that perspective. If you're judging by wins, no, this is 1A and 1B, but you have to look at the era it's in.
So are you putting LeBron ahead of Jordan?
No.
Okay, I was getting concerned. I'm like,
no. Jordan is 1A and will be until somebody goes 7-0 in the finals.
The way I look at it is Jordan is the type of player that if it's crunch time, doesn't matter the scenario. It doesn't matter if it's game 1 of the season or game 7 of the NBA Finals. If it's crunch time, under 10 seconds, tie game, down by 1, 2, or 3, and Jordan's got the ball, it's almost money that thing's going in.
Jordan had that killer instinct that the closest player to have it since he has left is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, and you look at the flip side with LeBron. LeBron in the same scenario, game 1, game 7 of the NBA Finals. If he's got the ball in crunch time, let's be honest, he's a great player. He's one of the best players on the planet, if not the best. It's your own personal opinion, if I may say so. But for LeBron, it's a coin toss.
It is.
Yeah, he had a few great clutch shots in the playoffs, but how many years was it where LeBron couldn't make the clutch shot?
See, this whole argument is really dumb, because they're like, oh, yeah, LeBron's the greatest ever. Really? So in a draft, of all the players you could possibly have, you're going to take LeBron over Jordan in a draft?
No.
I wouldn't.
Not a chance in hell. I'm sorry, but there's no way. Oh, he's made it to 9 finals. Oh, he drags all these teams. That's great. So you're going to take him over Jordan if you have this draft? No,
because like Ken said,
no.
Jordan had that killer instinct. Jordan had the I'm going for your throat, put you out.
Yeah, Jordan had a different mentality. LeBron has one of the highest basketball IQs going. So he can be a floor general, but he's not the one that is going to close out games.
Yeah,
he never has been.
Yeah, LeBron's definitely a high IQ person. You go and look at the highlight reel that they will inevitably show when he retires and gets into the Hall of Fame. He has made many a pass over his career that you look and watch the replay about 9 times and you go, wait, how did he see that?
Yeah, that's the thing. LeBron has one of the highest basketball IQs. It will rival Jordan's. There's no question of that. But if you're looking at stat to stat, finals wins to finals wins, there's a very big discrepancy. There's no question of that. But you have to look at the era they're in. And I guess if you're looking at it, LeBron is now 3 and 6 in the finals. He's won 2 in Miami. He won 1 in Cleveland. Jordan had won 6 in arguably one of the toughest physical eras of NBA history.
So, yeah, you go back and look at some of those teams and some of the players on those teams. That ain't no walk in the park.
Exactly. Where you take a look now, the fact that they have to actually replay fouls for flopping.
Yeah.
That kind of says it all.
Well, that I kind of put more as it's in the time we're playing in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The eras are different,
yeah.
So it's hard to say yes or no.
Oh, I'm pretty sure if we go back to Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace, I can guarantee you it was not a flop.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You were put through the floor on purpose.
But you don't have that physical style now. It's not really known for that. The game has transitioned into something different. It's just what it is. It's not a knock on that or the current era compared to the old one. I'm just saying, if you're looking at that era and you're analyzing, okay, Jordan went 6-0 in arguably one of the most physically contested defensive eras on NBA history, and you take a look now where, okay, final possession of the quarter, everybody gets away and they go into ISO one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
How is that the same era? It's not. But if you're looking at it, Jordan is 1A. There's no question of that. And LeBron is 1B because it's a different era. But LeBron has done more with the teams he's had. He's overachieved in many of the squads he's had, especially in Cleveland, where he has not had a great roster around him. He's had good role players. Not great, except for the years that he was there with Love and Kyrie, because then he had more people to pass the responsibilities around to. So that's going to play a big factor, but that's what you see in the current NBA. Whereas you take a look at years past where every team had one superstar on their team, and then maybe a couple had two. You never saw 3 or 4 like you do now. It's just the way the game has changed and evolved. So that's why it's always such a big thing now, looking at this offseason coming up, and what has overshadowed Golden State's win?
Where's LeBron going?
Exactly.
See, Christ, it was like 30 minutes or so after the NBA Finals were over that you were seeing odds on where he was going to go.
Yeah. When you have that going on, and now the question is, where is he going to go?
And you wake up to reports from, this former player who has kids enrolled in the school in Los Angeles heard that LeBron enrolled his kids in L.A., so he must be going to L.A. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know where he's going to go, and there's so many options where it would make sense, and then there's some, it's just what does he need to do at this stage of his career?
So because of that, where's he going?
Honestly, a couple different scenarios play out, if I make my unofficial ODPH guess.
Sure.
One, he stays in Cleveland, and he has a hand in retooling that team, and I'm talking we fire sale a good chunk of the current roster. They're gone.
Yeah.
And they rebuild. 2, he goes west to Houston, where I feel if he does go there and Chris Paul resigns, Mike D'Antoni will not be the head coach. I don't think his system will work with LeBron. I don't see that happening. But I could see him joining up with that team down there.
Yeah.
I could also see him going to Golden State under some very weird circumstances.
That'd take a lot of working with that salary cap.
Well, I think they could do it if they really were pressing the issue. But then again, if I'm looking at Golden State and I'm going, we've been in the finals how many years in a row now? We've been dominant except for 1 year. Why blow up that team? That doesn't make sense. But if they're very, heart set on, okay, we got to get LeBron, then they're going to dump Clay and they're going to dump Draymond Green to clear up cap space. I don't know where they go, but they won't be on the team if LeBron comes there. It just doesn't make sense. If I'm Golden State, I'm not even entertaining the idea, though. I'm really not.
You really don't need him.
No, you don't. There's no purpose for it. Your team is one of the best in the league, period.
Could you imagine the backlash he would get for going there, too?
There would be a lot of people quit. There'd be a lot of people quitting watching the NBA.
It wouldn't be as bad as when he left Cleveland to go to Miami the first time, but it would be up there.
No,
it would be up there.
It would pass it.
It would be up there.
I'd argue it would be worse than when he left to go to Miami, because Miami people were more mad just because, I think partially because of the hour it took to do it, among with just the pain it was with your son who was drafted into the city's team. I think if he plays Golden State 4 years in a row and goes 3-1 again, or 1-3 against them, and hey, I'm going to join them, they'd be pissed.
It's the same backlash that Kevin Durant gets,
except
he should get.
But he should
get it, though.
Right.
And that's the thing. If LeBron did it, it just wouldn't make sense unless he's just going, okay, I need to worry about my legacy and I want to make sure I'm in the finals every year, guaranteed. Right. But honestly, I can't see him doing that. I know that's like the hot rumor right now, but if I'm looking at it going, he's not that type of guy. I just don't see him going, I can't beat him, so I'm going to join him. He's not Durant. Durant did that, but I don't see that in LeBron. I really don't. So I think if he stays west, he's going to go to Houston. This LA nonsense of going to the Lakers, let's break it down very simple. He couldn't play with Isaiah Thomas in Cleveland, so why would he go out there and play with him in LA? Paul George, in the experiment that happened in Oklahoma City with Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, didn't work out. So you're going to have to see if that chemistry could work in LA with him, because that's the only scenario I see LeBron going to the Lakers to do that.
Don't they have experience playing together on the Olympic team, though?
Maybe, but, for the NBA, it's a different style. And
that's
plus,
true.
You need to be built in the West to go against Golden State.
Yeah, you got to be stacked.
That's your benchmark. Is the Lakers staffed that way right now? No. But to get to the Golden State level consistently, that would take some roster moves that I don't see at this moment, personally. Not saying it couldn't happen, or I'd be like, oh my God, he went there. How? No, but I'm just looking at it right now with who they have, and they would have to retool that lineup all over the place too, much like you'd have to do in Cleveland. 3, for me is he goes east. And I've said this on past episodes. You can go through our backlog on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Lisbon, or YouTube, wherever you listen to the ODPH from, and find this. I said if he's going to go anywhere in the East outside of Cleveland, he's going to Philadelphia.
Yep.
It makes the most sense. They have the youngest talent on there. They need some veteran leadership. Who better than LeBron? But I think they would have to retool a little bit of their offense now. So
a little bit.
Do you trust the process enough to do it, or do you say fall back and try something else?
I'll say, yeah, for me, dream scenario, and this is like absolute dream scenario, Knicks. I know it'll never happen, but I'd love to see him in New York.
Never say never. That would be the ultimate long shot because
Yeah.
I'll present something to this, and I'm just going to leave it at this. And then I want to definitely hear from the rest of the panel on this as we close the segment out. If he goes to New York and wins the championship, he achieves a legendary status.
Yep.
He has Porzingis there. He just needs a guard. Call me crazy, but the early word I heard, and I've been hearing a lot of lately from different media sites and just different fans in general, Kyrie Irving has always said he wants to come back to New York and play.
Ooh.
So you imagine just maybe if he opts out of Boston and decides to come back with Porzingis, and they get LeBron for 1 year and try it and run. I know it's crazy, but to win the chip in New York,
that is crazy.
To win the chip in New York,
Boy, nothing like getting a divorce and thinking, what the hell? Let's give it one more go. It didn't work the first time, but why not?
But
what the hell? For the sake of the kids, we'll stay
together. To win in New York is a whole different ballgame. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I think they could definitely put things aside if they go, hey, why don't we get one for New York? No, I'm with you though. I don't see him going to LA. I think while it would be fun and Showtime would be back, they're just not built to win now, and they're not built to contend with Houston or Golden State or Oklahoma City or anybody else out there. Houston I can see, but I honestly think if he's going to go anywhere, he's going to go to Philadelphia, and that's for the simple reason that they are built to win now. It's just they're one or two pieces away from really putting it together. So they're built to win now. They're built to win for the future. And then when you start getting some of these guys, like Ben Simmons and the others who really start hitting their prime because they're still relatively early in their career. They're not at their prime yet. They're not even peaking yet. Once you start getting these players who are peaking and LeBron is kind of on that backward slide where he can't do some of the things he used to, you can lay on Ben Simmons and some of the other guys in that Philadelphia lineup and still win.
Simply put, I think for the NBA, it's an extremely bad look if he goes anywhere out west because the West is completely stacked as it is. The East is like the forgotten child. It's horrible. There's no strength in it whatsoever. The Raptors are a joke. I hate to say this, but the Knicks are a joke. Last I checked, the Magic were a laughingstock. There's no strength in the East whatsoever. So if they leave, it's going to be even worse. And that's just a really awful look because you just already know your finals. You already know your winner, and it's really awful. If he were to go anywhere, he's not going to stay. He hates Dan Gilbert. It's blatantly obvious. He's never going to stay unless they fire him and they make him GM owner of the Cavs, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't really know where else to go. I think Philadelphia is the only choice for him. If he goes out west, I'd be really disappointed because, like I said, it's completely unnecessary in the West. It's way too hard. He doesn't need that kind of stress, and if he does, the NBA, I think, is going to be in a lot of trouble.
It's going to be a lot to see this offseason, but let us know what you think. Congratulations, though, to Golden State. Definitely for winning their championship. But we want to know what you think. What about this NBA offseason? What do you think is going to happen? Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're now on iTunes. That's right. The Ocho Duro Parlay Hour is now on iTunes. So download, rate, and subscribe. Spread the word. And thank you for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour.
I'm the street light. Guiding you home. Avoid the wrong step into.
Coming back for the second segment on this week's ODPH, and there was some UFC action this weekend. UFC 225 live from Chicago this past weekend. Pad, what you got for it?
Boy, there were some really notable fights on this card. Simply because you look at a UFC card, and if there are fighters on the Fight Pass preliminary card that you are in for a stacked card. You have Rashad Evans and Sergio Pettis fighting on the Fight Pass prelims. Sergio Pettis defeated Joseph Benavidez.
Joseph Benavidez.
Apologies. And then Anthony Smith defeated Rashad Evans via knockout with a knee in the first round. 53 seconds in fact.
That was a brutal shot. I mean,
Yeah,
Rashad,
it was sad too.
Well, Rashad has been in the fight game for such a long time, and now it's one of those situations where you're seeing a fighter that was so elite for a period of time, and now they're just father time is up against them, and it's just the chin starts going, the skills start slowing down a little bit, and it's just one of those situations where in his case it's time to hang it up and just enjoy being a commentator because he's great on commentary. If you've heard him on UFC Tonight and the post-fight pregame or post-fight talks, whatever you want to define the post-fight as.
Post-fight interviews.
Thank you. That he's great on it, and he should just kind of focus on that. There's no shame in it at this stage of the game. I mean, he's a former champion, and he definitely has a great career. So looking back on it, and as you were saying about Sergio Pettis against Joseph Benavidez, that is a huge win for Sergio in the flyweight division. Does that mean he's next for Demetrius Johnson? Should he defeat Henry Cujo at the next fight? I would have to say at this point, yes. I mean, it's a new challenger for Demetrius,
who's literally run through everyone in that division at least twice.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point to even try entertaining somebody else. I think Sergio has earned it. I mean, beating Benavidez is no easy task, and it is a decision, but he still won the fight. So I would definitely make that if I'm the UFC. And also, Charles Oliveira looked great against Clay Guida, which was tough because Clay's hometown. He was definitely amped up for that fight, but Oliveira definitely put a chokehold on him, and I believe he tied a UFC record for most submissions with 10 in his UFC career.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oliveira is no joke. If he can get you in a submission, it's usually lights out. And then taking a look at the preliminary card, I mean, that was as solid as you can get to. Claudio Gadea defeated Carlos Esparza. I mean, that was a closer fight than I think if you did not watch the fight, then you would think it would be.
Yeah.
It would definitely. I thought Esparza had pulled that fight off, but Gadea had definitely shown up for that and imposed her will. And I mean, it was a great strawweight fight. I mean, nothing else can really be said about it. It was a great fight to watch, very technical. And looking at the end of the prelims, Curtis Blades knocking out Alistair Overeem, or winning by TKO stoppage.
Good Lord.
Blades is no joke.
That was nasty.
And, for the heavyweight division, you're seeing kind of a rise in that you're having guys that are really making a statement, like Blades is, Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou. You're having guys that are really kind of taking the reins of finding their place in that division.
Yeah, and it's crazy to watch because at least this is how it feels to me. And it feels like we were watching Overeem knock people out like crazy left, right, and center not that long ago.
No, definitely not. And it's just, I mean, the fight game is just one that if you don't evolve and you don't adapt, it will pass you by. Not saying it's done that with Overeem because he has a track record that could be Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, from his work outside the UFC.
Yeah, it's in the discussion.
It's in the discussion, definitely. And then just know that now, I'm not saying the skills are diminishing, but it might be starting to happen in that time.
Yeah, it seems like it a little bit.
And then taking a look at the main card, starting off with Mike Jackson versus former WWE superstar, independent wrestling star, CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
However, I didn't hear you say UFC star. Why?
Well.
The thing about Punk, I will say this. This was a pretty one-sided decision.
This fight was horrible.
It was horrible. But
I'm sorry to say that in front of you guys, and I'm sorry for WrestleMania, but man, that fight sucked. It was really bad. It looked bad.
Well, I took one thing out of it. It looked bad. He looked bad, but I take one thing out of it, and that is he didn't look as bad as he did the first fight.
No, he definitely shown improvement, but I think this is where it comes down to your age.
Yeah.
Punk has jumped into the MMA world at a very late point.
At a point where a lot of fighters are either retired or considering retirement.
Yes, which, to his credit, though, he didn't quit after the Mickey Gall fight.
No.
He is still stuck with it. He's still been training at Rufus's camp to go into the UFC career, in his mixed martial arts career. He is still showing up every day, and did he show improvement? Yes, but I think just the skill set is just not there.
No,
I would say any improvement he made was very minimal. Because let's be real. I mean, his opponent, he was mocking him. In the middle of the fight, he's literally toying with him as he's throwing a fist round, joking like, should I punch you in the face now? Yes. And then he lands him. And it's like not even fun to watch. Like, it was almost hard to watch.
It was tough to watch because, Pat and I are very big wrestling fans. And I'm a huge CM Punk fan from wrestling. And I want to see him succeed. But the thing about this is I knew going into this wasn't going to be like Brock Lesnar going
No,
to the UFC.
no, I knew this from the start.
This is a different athlete. This is a different time where Punk is coming into it very late in the game.
Well, and it's like I said when we were watching the fights, the thing we know, and folks who haven't watched WWE don't know, he was in WWE and independent wrestling for a lot of years. Say what you will about wrestling, fake, real, what have you. It is still one of the most brutal and punishing work schedules on the face of the planet. They're working 52 weeks a year. Say what you will, the travel, the work, and everything else. So he's not only going into this at a late stage in his athletic career, it's with a lot of damage and mileage on that body.
Yeah, and it looked it. I mean, there's no shame in saying it. But the one thing I say it was a moral victory of anything else, he still was fighting to the very end of the third round.
He definitely showed improvement. Now, it wasn't like leaps and bounds, miles of improvement. There was some improvement, though.
There was improvement, but he didn't quit. And
No.
I think you need to take that into perspective of he was never going to be a title contender.
No.
It was never going to happen like that. But he stuck it out. He had a dream to do this, and he put in the work to do it. You can't fault a guy for doing something he wanted to do, and he didn't quit at it.
And he can always look back and say, yeah, it wasn't the greatest run, but I wanted to do something, and I did it.
Yeah, you have to tip the cap off there with that.
I mean, I'm just going to say about this fight, I'm actually just really disappointed in both. Two things. I think the fight was actually worse for Mike Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he didn't
Yes.
finish the fight.
He
that was
easily-
horrible for him. Both of these guys needed a win, and Mike Jackson was not taking this fight seriously at all. And if you go
No.
back and watch it, he's literally toying with him. And, you need to make a stance as far as why you're even here and why you should get another fight. And you drug this fight 3 rounds, which didn't, let's be
No.
fair, need to be.
No. No.
Two, he's toying with him. He's kicking him around, lets him stand up, not hitting him at all, lets him swing, laughs at him, making a mockery. Like, dude, you're fighting for your own career too, right? You need a convincing win, and this was horrible.
That was a fight
Horrible.
that he very, very easily could have knocked him out very early in the second round or submitted him very early in the second round. But like you said, if you go back and you find a video of this fight, he's got him on the ground at one point, and he's going like he's going to hit him, and then he's swinging his arms around like he's doing a dance.
And the one thing about that, too, is if you're in there screwing around like that, you're not going to get asked to come back to the UFC.
Nope.
That might work in some other feds that, they want the quote-unquote showmanship. But if you're in there and you can finish an opponent, you want to make a statement because especially of how deep the divisions are getting, to stand out to get another fight, you need to show that you are a professional and you can finish fights. Unfortunately, I didn't see that out of Jackson.
I'm just saying, CM Punk looked awful. He should have gotten submitted, tapped out, knocked out, whatever the case was. But Mike Jackson, I think, hurt himself more. So.
Oh, absolutely. No, I fully agree. I mean, I think Punk's UFC career is definitely done. I think his MMA career is done. I can't exactly get excited to see him go fight again in the octagon or in an MMA event. But he did his dream. So you know what? I can't fault him on that.
Who knows? Perhaps his heart will go on.
That's what
great.
you did there.
Lead in the segue for that one, my friend.
Oh, my friends. Wow. Fight of the night, possibly? For the walk-in intros alone?
This might rival Walking Out to Imagine by John Lennon.
I just posed this to our audience before we even get this. Just what do you think would be the most intimidating thing you could play as a walkout? And mind you, heavyweight class. So we're talking Tua is what? He weighed in at 255?
Something like that,
260,
yeah.
I think. I mean, he's tipping the scale pretty big in the heavyweight, 260, 265. And what's the most intimidating song you could think of right now that you'd walk into and be like, I am here. We're in a fight.
Deep.
Enter Sandman by Metallica comes to mind.
Oh, no, my
Adele
friends.
rolling in the deep. There's nothing heavier than that.
Nothing like silencing a nice Chicago crowd on a Saturday night with Celine Dion, my friends.
Karaoke edition.
Yes, my heart will go on. And at first we all looked at each other and thought this was a joke.
No, yeah.
We did, because we're all we're sitting there talking. We were looking at the fight oh, yeah, I got the heavyweights going on right here. This will be great. And then it's wait. I looked at Pat and I'm like, hey, is that Celine Dion? We looked at each other is this real?
Because the thing of it is we like to listen to figure out what fighters are coming out to because sometimes you can make a judgment off of who you think is going to win a fight based on walkout music alone.
And we do joke. We joke about oh, man, how can you not take this song? I'm taking him. Even if you don't know the guy. For the walkout song, you're like, I like that. I'm taking him. If you've never watched UFC, you always joke I'm taking the walkout song.
I picked Uriah Faber every time just because he came out to California Love.
Yeah, I mean...
Right. So you think, so we're watching the title fights, and, we're watching the heavyweight fight. We're like, let's see what we got here. Challenger walks in. No, I mean, he was singing it, too. He's walking in. He's singing, which is great. Hey, shout out Celine Dion. That's great. It's just okay. Not the heavyweight walkout I was thinking of, but
No,
whatever.
You typically think of more heavier music, more adrenaline pumping than Celine Dion for a fight.
However, in his post-fight interview,
Yeah.
it was great because when they asked about it, of course they asked him like, "How did you come up with that song?" He's like, "It's a great hit. It was very popular."
Hey,
That's all he flat out said. He's like, "It's a great song. I thought it was great. I picked it."
If it works, it
Awesome.
works. Like I say, I listen to Adele when I go to the gym.
And did he
so
get
that's
the
why I'm
win?
saying. I'm not kidding about that.
He did get the
He
win, as
did.
a matter of fact.
That was
Yeah.
the power of Celine Dion.
A man who was 9-0 before this fight against Orlovsky and had finished every round in the first round actually went to a decision, which I had him losing, oddly enough.
Yeah, I had Orlovsky winning that one too.
I had him
I think
winning.
we all did.
I mean, Tua left with a broken nose. I mean, he ate a lot of punches. He was looking for the knockout, which is what he's notorious for. Couldn't get it against the wily veteran, and I actually kind of thought he lost, but he got the win. So,
But hey, you know what? His heart went on.
It definitely did. So, I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting to see where he goes in the heavyweight division now, too. Because, I mean, he can only go upward, and it's going to get just more deeper and difficult as it steps on. Our third fight there was the women's featherweight bout between Holly Holm and Megan Anderson.
How disappointing. Man, Anderson looked awful.
Well, Holly Holm, I definitely surprised us, I would say. Not that we didn't think that she would be showing up for the fight, but I think just of how she imposed her will on Megan Anderson.
I just think the hype around Anderson was so big. Like people think, oh, she's going to walk in. You've got the Cyborg effect going on. She's going to run through the division. She's going to meet with Cyborg. It's going to be this epic fight. And Holly Holmes, who had 2 career takedowns, put 4 on Megan Anderson.
Yeah.
2 in her career.
That was the most surprising stat I think I saw. And just watching the fight and just how she developed a ground game. Because we know we typically don't see it with Holly. Holly's known for striking. So to see her, really impose that ground game on Megan was something to see. And now going forward with that, since, Holly did win that fight, I would much rather see her fight Amanda Nunes at the bantamweight division. I don't want to see another fight between Holly and Cyborg. For me, that just doesn't have the appeal. But I tell you what, her versus Nunes,
That'd be
especially
real something.
And especially if Holly implements that ground game, the takedown offense that she was showing, that is a new side to that game that I think could really help her win. Because Nunes is no joke, and that's the fight I want to see at bantamweight. There's no other fight I really want to see right now at that division, other than Holm and Nunes at women's bantamweight. None.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the fight to make. Going to the co-main event, and Rafael dos Anjos against Colby Covington. Thoughts from the panel on this one?
Well, when you're studying an opponent and you're trying to figure out if a guy is very tactical and strategic, what do you do to him? You get in his face and you punch him repeatedly. That's exactly what Colby did. A guy you never get a chance to think. It's almost like if you're taking a test. This is the way I was thinking about it. Rafael dos Anjos is taking a test, and Colby is poking him in the side with a pencil, asking for the answers. Like, he can't think. He's a very strategic fighter, and he just literally had no time to think. He had no time to make a strategy, which is his game. Mm-hmm. And Colby's constantly poking him and punching him in the face, and, every single round, run right over to his corner and haul off and punch him right in the face.
Colby came
just
out
to make him as uncomfortable as possible.
Colby came out of the gate, and he had a great game plan, which was give Rafael consistent pressure.
Right. Literally right in his face, pin him against the cage, and you can literally do nothing when you're constantly playing defense. There's no sense of strategy, and that's exactly what happened.
And it was smart, too, because Rafael was in there very emotional. He wanted to go for the knockout. I don't think there was any chance of any other move happening. Submission, no. I think he wanted to knock him out, and I think he fought very emotionally, and I think Colby did the right thing in pressuring him to the point where he was up against the cage, not a lot of movement, not a lot of time to set up and really land some solid shots. Dos Anjos, is a top-level fighter. No question of that. But Colby definitely implemented his wrestling and just, constant pressure and did not let him get off the cage and just really made a point to hold him up against there and really derail any kind of offense from getting going. And say what you will about Covington, he did what he needed to do to win the fight. It wasn't a boring fight by any means. No. But he definitely made a statement that, for all the trash talk he's been doing, and if you don't know about that, just Google, YouTube, Twitter. Whatever you want to do to find it. I'm not even going to get into that whole nonsense on here. The fact remains, Covington made a statement win as he needed to.
You hate to say it, but he's definitely the guy who talked all the trash, and you're like, well, if you talk all the trash, back it up. Okay.
He did.
I did.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
In convincing fashion.
And he immediately called out Woodley, who was more than willing to answer him.
Oh, yeah.
So that fight is going to get very interesting to see because two guys that are very well known for their wrestling. So when that cancels out, what do you have? Striking, submissions. We haven't really seen too much of that from both of those fighters. But I know Woodley can throw some hands. I don't know if Covington can, but we're going to find out when that match is made. But we'll analyze that a little later down the road when it's finalized. Going to the main event and all the drama that involved that, Yoel Romero against the interim champion middleweight, Robert Whittaker, who is now the official middleweight champion. Thoughts on that?
Well, as Pat and I did mention, as we picked Romero to win in a third-round knockout, if he could have made weight or something didn't happen, as Romero typically has when he has something when he fights, whether it's weight, drug test, whatever, he could have fought for this title. And I tell you what, he gave a pretty damn good run at Whittaker, who's probably almost regretting taking this fight.
Almost because I was reading a quote from Whittaker today. There was just something about Romero that I don't think Whittaker was expecting, because Whittaker said, I've fought everyone in this division, even Romero before. It was like I was punching steel, and I've never felt that before.
Yeah. So, I mean, Romero, as we were watching this fight, breaking it down, Romero, if you didn't know, did not make weight by all of 0.2 pounds.
Yep.
Which is crazy, so he couldn't fight for the belt. But it was a 5-round fest. Whittaker early looked great. Romero, I think, threw, two strikes in the first round? Literally did almost next to nothing, which we thought, oh, my gosh, he's going to roll over.
Yeah.
Nothing's going on. It's going to be boring. And Whittaker, then in the second round, kicks him right in the side of the head. Eyes swollen, thinking fractured eye socket, something like that. I mean, it was Romero's eye was shut. And you're thinking this is the end of it. And then Whittaker got a little rocked. All of a sudden, Romero woke up and was like, oh, and starts throwing these bombs, and Whittaker got knocked down a couple times.
The one thing you got to remember with Romero is no matter where you have him in the fight, if he can still throw, he's going to land bombs on you. No question of that.
Whittaker definitely felt a few of those bombs.
Oh, Whittaker definitely did. But I think this was a great fight for Whittaker in the sense of he needs to really make a statement as champion. Fighting Romero, which he didn't have to.
Right.
He could have said, you didn't make weight. This is going to be for
the
nothing.
Fight doesn't count.
We could have done this for, 3 rounds instead of 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
He could have done a lot of different tactics to get out of this. He didn't. He wants to be a fighting champion. I applaud that.
Absolutely.
And like to say, for seeing his progression from where he started to now, you got to put him up there in the elite pound-for-pound class. No question of this.
Well, and we know he took this fight and was willing to take this fight because he wanted to settle the talk of who was better between the two of them.
And he needed to, because I know the last fight, he won outright. There was no question of that, but I think he wants to definitely shut up naysayers.
Well, and it was funny after the fight was over and done with. He's like, man, it's just something about fighting Yoel Romero. Something always happens to me.
Yeah, and because Yoel is no joke. I mean, you can take a look at his track record of who he's fought in that division. He is definitely a beast in that division. And everybody knows he can throw hands, and he's going to definitely hit you hard. To weather that storm and implement your game, and Whittaker did. I mean, he didn't really rely so much on the leg kicks, per se, as he did in the previous fight, but he was still landing them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Whittaker, I think he is lucky to have survived, because there was the start of the fight, definitely Whittaker making a point to kick his knee, kick his leg, really, kind of give the damage back to Romero that he suffered. But what was it? We saw right after the end of round 2, Whittaker comes over to his corner and he's like, my right hand's broken.
Yep.
And he even said in the post-fight that he could feel nothing in his right hand up to clear to his elbow.
Yeah.
That it was broken at the wrist.
That's a bad break.
Right. And that was in the third round.
Yeah.
And I think then Romero figured it out that something was wrong, because you can see him. He's literally standing only with a left hand in front of you, and that's the only thing he's throwing.
Yep.
And Romero went off, and Whittaker got knocked down, I think by my count, was at least 5 times by punches from Romero.
Around there. I kind of
Somewhere
threw it, but I
it
could
was
be
like
wrong
4 or
about
5, something to that effect.
Yeah.
I mean, Romero's knocked him down, and there was a couple times Whittaker stands up, and he's got the wobble leg syndrome. I mean, he was in bad shape several times, thinking, man, Romero may actually have gotten him, and it was a lot closer than I think some of us really thought.
Yeah.
It was a lot closer. I mean, it definitely was a great fight. And,
absolutely.
And the thing for Whittaker, though, I think going into this, is he wanted to make a statement fight, and he did, because he's still a young fighter. He still needs to weather storms and really get that experience.
Yeah.
And not to say that he hasn't done it before, but I think when you're fighting against somebody that could easily knock you out and was landing shots, and you're in trouble, Because I think he did. Because if you break your arm, you're fighting with one less option. You can't really do takedowns. You can't really do good striking. You have a known weakness, and you still have got 15 more minutes of action to go through.
Yeah.
To weather that and come out on top still, that's a big feather in your cap, and then moving forward, there's so much that you can grow from this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for him, that's going to be. Because now, I'm not sure who's next.
Round the third fight?
No.
The rubber match?
You could argue
Did he convince you?
I mean, he could convince me, but the only problem is you can't make weight.
Yeah.
It was 0.2, and he was mad because he still had an hour.
But still, this is the second time.
I mean, Romero looks like he should fight at 205. I don't think he
should
could have
fight
cut
at 205. I agree.
I don't think he could have cut 0.2 pounds anyway. If you looked at him, that guy's cut.
Oh yeah,
and I think 185 is really hard for him to get down to because I just looking at the guy. If you go and look at it on UFC.com, that guy's 185 looks
shredded.
Like when he was in that fight, he looked like he was almost 220.
Yeah, no,
against Whitaker, you'd think they weren't even in the same ballpark.
Well, that's the thing. I think the weight cut is too much for Romero. I really do, and I think he should try his hand at 205. I mean, they did the same thing with Kelvin Gastelum when Kelvin couldn't make weight.
Yep.
And now look at Kelvin. He's in discussion at middleweight now. I mean, you just have to look at who's in the play. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting division to watch, and I think Whitaker is now at the top of the heap, unquestioned. And you know what? If you're going to fight him, you definitely got to bring your A game. But what is your thoughts on UFC 225? We want to know. Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Mike Pappy from Rye Bread, and you're listening to the ODPH.
Coming back for the third segment on this week's ODPH, and we got to talk a little Stanley Cup action.
Boy, oh boy, congratulations to the Washington Capitals.
The Capitals closed out the series against the Vegas Knights, and, we got to tip the caps to them. No pun intended. Ovechkin and company came, saw, and imposed wills on Vegas. And Vegas definitely was with them every shift. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't a, run them out of the rink. No, Vegas hung tough, but when Holtby was on, he made some amazing saves. I mean, the one in, I believe, Game 2, which is the save, it's really set the tone, and the Caps really rallied behind it. And when they got rolling, I mean, the Caps got rolling. Ovechkin and company really stepped up, and they played physical. They really just kind of showed that they were veterans at that level.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And there's nothing really else you can say other than Ovechkin finally got the monkey off his back, so to speak. He is a champion. There's no more comparison. Oh, well, great player, but he's never won the big one. He definitely cashed in, and dare I say, the social media with him now, post-Cup win, has been amazing.
Well, and before we get to that, one thing I think it was my favorite thing of the entire series was right before the game was ending, and it was clear the Capitals were going to win, and the camera kept cutting to Ovechkin, and you could just tell how nervous he was and how excited he was. His legs are bouncing. He's not watching the action on the ice. He's got his head bent forward. Like, if his helmet were off, you could see the patches of gray hair, not strands of gray hair, the entire patches of gray hair getting added to his head. It was just something fun to watch, and just to see the joy and jubilation. Like, I highly encourage you, go look up some photos from immediately after the end of the game of just the childlike joy on his face. It's really something to see.
Thoughts on that, Jay?
Hey, you know what? I think the NHL wins in both respects. I mean, you've got Ovechkin who gets finally the monkey off the back, so to speak. He cashes in his title. We all talked about this before. Thought for sure he was bound for the Hall of Fame. Solidifies it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, no question,
no doubt,
no question. No,
and I mean,
not even was before.
Yeah, and shout out Vegas. You know, for the expansion team. What you say? You think about it with the expansion teams. Let's be real. I mean,
they're like 500-1 odds to make it to the playoffs.
Let's not go back this far, but the inaugural season of the Mets as the expansion team when they were back in the late 60s, and they come out and lose 115 games of 182. You don't expect a lot of an expansion team until you get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's true for every major sport, not just NHL or MLB.
Yeah. And their fan base was amazing.
Yeah,
that's
unbelievable.
That's the biggest story for me from Vegas. It's not so much the team, which was put together in Fleury. Definitely was a cornerstone of that. They need to re-sign him. I'm not sure. I can't remember if he's a free agent after this year, but I imagine he's going to ride out his career in Vegas. But to see Vegas, who is not known for being a sports town per
No.
se. I mean, outside of the sports betting,
Right.
which is legal there. But to see how the town rallied behind this team, it's always great to see when they have an expansion team in a city and how that city reacts. I mean, sometimes the fan base is very nonchalant, if I may use that word. It sometimes just goes as, okay, we got another team here. But to see Vegas and the excitement, the pure excitement for the city to get behind the Golden Knights and just really make this season something to remember. I mean, because they got a lot further than I think anybody had them pegged for. No question of that.
They didn't lose, a fun stat. They didn't lose 4 games consecutively all year until the finals.
Which is
For
impressive.
I mean, just even for an expansion team that you literally just made this year, and you didn't lose 4 games consecutively at all until the Stanley Cup Finals. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something about Vegas that, I mean, they played fundamentally sound all year. But getting into the Stanley Cup Finals, I mean, that was just truly remarkable. And just the fact they won a game there, yeah, I mean, it was great. But I think with Washington, it just showed that Ovechkin and Holtby especially really wanted to bring that cup home.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely something that was like, we need to do this.
Yeah, because I think, as we've said before, the window for Ovechkin, I believe, is now year 13 in the NHL.
14, if I'm not mistaken.
13 or 14. This was the time, if he's going to do it, now is it. It was like when Boston beat the Yankees to win their World Series. They had to go through their biggest rival, and then it was kind of a formality after that.
Yeah.
As much as it pains me to say that, being a Yankees fan, but the same scenario was there with Washington. They needed to beat the Penguins. The only other way they could have done this, too, is if they beat the Rangers.
Right.
Their biggest rivals, when they get in the postseason, something always happens, and they just, no matter how stacked their team is. But this year, Kuznetsov and TJ Oshie and Ovechkin really were the driving forces of this.
Well, now Ovechkin's on a bender that would make a college kid proud.
But this is just shows, I mean, no matter, hockey is just a different sport in just how the players are. This is just a pure enjoyment from like a person who just loves the sport. This isn't just like, oh, I won a championship and I got a championship. If you're watching how he's reacting, it's almost like a child getting a toy at the holidays. This is just somebody that really is just enjoying the moment that he's in. And dare I say, I mean, it's not validation for his career because, I mean, we always knew he was a great player. But
Yeah.
to win the championship and just to have just, you know, the burden of not winning one, especially because, you know, all eyes were on him this entire playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
To have all that pressure relieved from his shoulders and just to enjoy the moment he's in. And he's sharing it with the teammates. He's sharing it with the fans. And Washington is really enjoying this with him. Like the city is enjoying
Oh,
this.
God, yeah.
I mean, it's always just something nice to see because when you have a team that is supported that much by a fan base and when they finally bring home a chip and just to see everybody is celebrating, the players with the community, that is truly the memory you remember. I mean, we always say on a small scale, when Binghamton got the Calder Cup and just how much that meant to the town
Yeah.
and the players. As Pat is very nonchalantly, yeah. But it was something. And it was something to watch in that era as well.
But this has got to be the most fun I think I've ever seen players and a team have with the Stanley Cup because to my memory, the craziest thing the last, 10 years or so that we've seen happen with the Stanley Cup was I believe when, I think it was the Anaheim Ducks won it and they took the thing on a ride in Disney. And it was like a submarine ride or something. Like that was the craziest thing I remember. You know, but you look at Ovechkin's a grown man, 32 years old, doing a keg stand, chugging out of the thing. And then he goes, what was it? It was a pool in Georgetown or something like that. And he's swimming.
I mean, that's the thing. He's celebrating the moment he's in. It's always just cool to see a player that, you know, you kind of hold up on, you know, not a pedestal, so to speak, but you figure, okay, they're always professional and they always got to, you know, make sure they don't do anything too crazy. And he's just living the life. What else can you really say about that?
He's on cloud like 11. He's not on cloud 9. He's on like cloud 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very cool to watch. So congratulations to Washington for bringing home the cup. Keep it warm for the Rangers because we'll be back next season. Shout out to Rangerstown. But let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPH. What's your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals and the NHL season moving forward? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak soul shape radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince, the Common Man Toy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shake radio attack, taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew right
Coming back for the final segment on this week's ODPH. Pat, what you got for that local minute?
So a little bit of Binghamton Rumble Ponies news. They're playing a 3-game series starting tonight as we record. They're playing the Altoona Curve. They're playing them also on Wednesday and Thursday before they head out on a road trip against Hartford. And then looking at the standings, they are currently sitting in third place with a record of 34-28. Only 3 games back of New Hampshire, who was in first place, and Trenton Thunder, who are in second place.
Shout out to those Rumble Ponies. BingRP.com for more information on getting some tickets. Get down to the stadium. It's great weather in Binghamton if you can make it down there. And you know what? We got to go out and support that minor league baseball team. So let's kick off rounding those bases. JR, what do you have this week?
This week, I pose to you, gentlemen, do any of you know who Bob Baffert is?
I've heard the name, but I'm blanking on who it is.
Not a clue.
Oh, okay. Well, you should, because he's probably going to become the most wealthiest man in America. Why, you ask?
The name rings a bell.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe owning a Triple Crown winner would be pretty
That's
cool.
that's why. Okay.
But wait, how about owning 2 Triple Crown winners?
Oh,
American
yeah.
Pharaoh was owned by Bob Baffert, and Justify over the weekend completed the Triple Crown, which is owned and trained by who?
Bob Baffert. It's
pretty impressive.
It's a small club that's done that, though, if I'm not mistaken.
13.
Okay.
Actually, in the how many years we've been doing this? Only 13 have done it, and he now has 2 horses that have done it.
Right.
Quite impressive.
Not too shabby for a weekend. You know, you go out and you've got a horse which estimated value before the Triple Crown was already at $60 million because of what it's done.
Yeah.
And wins the Triple Crown is now
Yeah.
pushing $80 million. It is setting records left and right as far as in the horse world. Of course, we're always looking to breed, which is what American Pharaoh does because you're paying, you're looking for those genes. It's what trainers do.
Yeah.
And Justified is easily shattering all those records, about almost $300K a pop.
Right.
Just so you know, after he's racing. So not bad for a Triple Crown winner, if you ask me.
No.
Definitely impressive. You know, horse racing has always had, you know, a rich tradition of the Triple Crown, and to see it happen, I mean, this has been how many in a year span?
2 in, I want to say it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. 15, I think, was Pharaoh.
2015 was
Yeah, it was only
Pharaoh.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Which is funny. It took 36 years for Pharaoh to pull it off. Now it's been 3 since the same trainer brought yet another horse.
Exactly. I mean, that's the mind-blowing stat there. That is just like it still hasn't sunk in for me that this has happened because I know it was always the Triple Crown and like how many years apart, and now it's almost like every other year. But it just goes to show you the horse racing is definitely changing.
Yeah.
Pat, what you got this week?
So a little interesting thing came across my phone today. Wanted to ask you guys, pose a question to you guys. Of course, the NBA draft is coming up, not this week, but next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's being reported that both the Sacramento Kings, with the number 2 overall draft pick, and the Dallas Mavericks, with the number 5 overall draft pick, are open to dealing their draft spot and moving down. So I ask you guys, if you're a general manager for your favorite team, would you take that opportunity and move up in the draft?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
JR?
For this year, no.
Interesting.
I don't think there's any. I mean, I'm saying this. There's not anybody immediately, I think, in the draft that's like I'm ready to take right now. At least, I mean, I guess if you were. I would think if you were Sacramento, I'm thinking why. I mean, you're going through this rebuild thing. I guess you're taking the NFL approach,
Yeah.
or the Philly approach. But I mean, when was the last time you really heard Sacramento being super relevant?
Well, and the only thing I could
You
think
got to start somewhere. I hate to say it that way,
right,
but
and the only thing I could think of with Sacramento is they're looking at the guys who would go in the top 5, and they're like, all right, none of these guys work with our system. Anybody else that would work with our system, we can move back and still get. I mean, if I'm the Knicks, I definitely want to move up and get something. I mean, I know I've heard Trae Young thrown around with going to the Knicks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely – the Knicks should try doing something, especially if you want to get Porzingis there. And then if you have a shot to get Kyrie Irving to leave Boston to come back to New York and build something there, you definitely can, because I know Ayton you would think is going to be the number 1 pick, but you never know what Phoenix is thinking right now. And the Knicks would make sense. And if you're Cleveland – this is a long shot to try keeping LeBron there, because if you can tell him, hey, we're going to move up in the draft to 2 or 5 and get somebody to help you, that is an enticing piece right there. So if they're open to move it and there's something to go, then sure. But if there's not, it's hard to say.
Yep.
So going in with that, my one shot is just a simple thank you to you, the listener. This episode are going to be leading into our 1-year anniversary of doing the ODPH. I think I can speak for the panel in saying thank you for listening. It has been a heck of a journey thus far. We're happy to bring you our sports and entertainment takes as we give it to you, and we're happy to get the feedback and interact with you guys. So make sure to hit us up on our social media. OchoDuroParlayHour.com has all the links. We want to interact with you. We got a lot of stuff lined up for the upcoming year, but I think on behalf of all the panel, the blog writers, everybody involved with the show, shout out to Frederick Theodore, our creative design T-shirt maker too, and all the guests have been gracious enough with your time coming on the show. We just want to say simply thank you. And just if you thought year 1 was something, wait for year 2. So that's all we got for this week. So for the intern himself, Padawan J.
Thank you.
For the Sound Guy Galore, JR.
Thank you all.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.
Dreams like satellites in motion. Just another drop in the ocean. Gravity is blind, tries to keep me in line. Higher up the mountain in my mind. Will I believe again? 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 Part-time gymming with a full-time devotion. Tracing life with waves